Hey everyone, we talk a lot at LinkedIn about how CHROs are the next CEOs because we believe companies are going to succeed in the future based on talent at the core more than tech. And when I say those statements, Amber is someone I think about. Amber is the CTO at BCG who's really leading the way into this new world of work with new thinking for us all. So I want to just first thank you for being with us today.
Great, thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you guys.
The role of CTO, you coming into this role, let's start with your journey and sort of the squiggly line career, which was becoming the norm. What has been your path to CTO?
Yeah, so maybe let's step back a little bit. And if I think about my 25-year career, it has been in the intersection of talent, transformation, and technology. So I would say there has really never been a clear definition of do this, then go here and do this next piece. So for me, I think what makes my career very unique is it was never talent acquisition alone. It was never talent management alone. It was never learning. How do you integrate all of this, no matter what the role is? And I think, originally my career just, coming from talent acquisition, integrating all of these aspects have been so unique. And what I love about BCG is not only do I get to do this role internally, but I get to help clients and I get to work with, companies out there in our client-facing teams, think about the future of work, think about workforce dimensions, think about talent management, think about learning, and being able to solve really tough problems and help solution for our clients, but more importantly, get to do it for a company like BCG is so exciting.
As you think about now your role in your peer group, the CTO peer group, the CPO, CHRO, that is a role in and of itself that's going through a transformation. As you look back even 5 years before the pandemic to 5 years from now, it's sort of a complete change in the way that role is situated at the center of business. Talk a little bit about how that role is evolving.
As we see this role, when I think about just HR and how it's evolved, and I think about the talent function, if we think about what's happened, HR back in 1950s, we're like, all right, we have all these teams and people, we need to pay them, we need to manage this process, it's the personnel function, and HR got created. Then you think about the evolution again, and it's like, okay, well now we're now into the 1980s, and we're like, we need to scale. How do you scale HR? How do you optimize HR? Early aspects of shared services came in, how we start thinking about more of initial aspects of HR technology. Again, then the next big era came about HR being a strategic partner. Yeah. But what I'm most excited about this is HR is no longer just about managing people, managing process. HR now is about business transformation and creating business value through designing an archetype of what is the future workforce going to look like? What is this collaboration of AI and human capability coming together to unlock human potential? So, as I think about how HR has evolved, this is the most exciting time. And, we've seen various roles, but this is the time for HR and my peers and the industry for us to really define that seat of the table with the business leaders, with creating value, unlocking value, but never forgetting at the heart of what we do is that human-centric experience.
And then enters AI. Here comes AI, this new era for the economy. I want to talk about some specific examples of how AI is coming into how talent functions operate, from skills-based hiring and skills filtering to AI swarms. But first, just how are you thinking about AI as a CTO?
The ultimate question we have is, first of all, what are the implications to the workforce? How should we think about the future skills? How do we think about the way organizations are going to set? And AI skills, they're high in demand. 80% increase in the job market just for AI skills alone just this past year. So we already know we don't have enough skills. How do we prepare for future workforce? So that's definitely top of mind. The second thing that's top of mind is how do we think about AI with AI policy, responsible AI, the governance of AI, and what kind of new roles do we need in HR as we think about this, both from a talent perspective, HR perspective. And then we're thinking about change management and culture management. This is a fundamental shift for HRs and teams, not just us as individuals, our teams, the organization. That's top of mind. The other aspect of it is where do we get the budget for all of this, right? That is a real aspect of, where do we make the investments? We still have some legacy technology. How do we upscale? How do we rescale? How do we think about the new technology? And how do we make new investments? So I do think these are real questions that we're figuring out, our clients are figuring out. I think, being at BCG, for us, what's fortunate is because we are a pioneer of both innovation and human-centric experience and responsible AI, we know we need to lead because these are the questions our clients are asking. And they want an example, and there's no blueprint. There's no one that has already figured it out, and we're upskilling. Yeah. We're increasing AI literacy. We are, piloting, learning. We are investing in capabilities with both technology. We've rolled out company-wide access to AI, ChatGPT. We've built our own capabilities, and we're creating a culture of enablement, whether it's, AI Amplify days, it's learning from champions, but we're all figuring it out. But I think it ultimately goes back to, what is the problem we're trying to solve? What will unlock business value? Where are there opportunities for AI? Is there things that are going to give us more productivity, more efficiency, better experience? And I think these are some of the key KPIs we have to think about, but we're all learning. Yeah. We're learning and we're going. I don't think there's any answer yet, but I do think ultimately what excites me is that HR is moving towards being the architects of this new workforce that doesn't even exist.
Those who feel like you are still getting your head around AI, that you're smiling and nodding when people say AI, but you don't really know what they're saying, which totally makes sense because that's most of us when it gets into the technical space. I think the key thing to know for those of us who did move early is that a lot of us had a light bulb moment at some point where generative AI was this almost missing puzzle piece in a better world of work that we had been waiting for or imagining. For me, for so long, I have seen the brokenness of the labor market around the pedigree economy and the desire to see skills get to the center of what would then be a meritocracy. And we all know the hurdles that faced of how do you make skills as easy to filter for as degrees? How do you build the systems around taxonomies that by the time they're written, they're not dated? And AI came in and suggested to me this complete change in the definition of work that was going to be both a force for change and moving us to more human work, but a tool for change and really being able to build skills now finally into the labor market. I feel like you had a similar puzzle piece moment with this idea of holistic intelligence and this sort of idea that we can all be more human at work and more ourselves at work. Talk a little bit about that. And I'd love to know kind of when the moment was that AI, and I know you've been in the AI world for some time, but when did you have that light bulb moment that we were entering something completely new and that you and your peers were going to be able to shape that?
For me, I think that personal change was when I'm having a conversation with the AI just as I could with a colleague, with a friend, with, a teacher, a mentor, and that blew me away. And I think that was the first aha moment of, this is different. And this is going to fundamentally change the way we interact with technology individually as well as work. But then you step back and you do think about, okay, well, GPT can probably write an essay better than 90% of most people now. Yeah. So then you start thinking about, well, what does this mean for me? And I think that's a real question many people feel. But then you have to go back to what makes you you? What makes humans so different and the work they do? Because at the end of the day, even a human created this. And this goes to this concept that I believe in called holistic intelligence. So think of it as a three-legged stool. We all know what IQ is. I feel like there's been a monopoly in how we've built the whole presence of IQ. Think of this as your technical mind. This is what you know. This is the skills you have and the capability you have. So that's your technical mind. Then think of EQ. We realized IQ was not enough. We needed EQ. It's not just what you know or what you do, how you do it. How do you interact with people, the teamwork, collaboration, communication, ability to make relationships. Think of this as your connected heart. But then there's a third aspect of this stool, which I call SQ. This is self-intelligence, ability to be self-aware, but also know, why do you do what you do? So you have IQ, technical mind, you have EQ, connected heart. SQ is this inner voice of why you do what you do. So more purpose-driven work you do. You know, as I think about, again, as a talent leader throughout, we always focused on the hard skills. Hard skills, IQ. And AI is going to be able to do a lot of that, right? And doesn't mean we don't need the IQ. You'll get the insights, you have to make the decisions, but a lot more collaboration with AI in IQ. The human-centric part is now how we interact with people, make this happen, the value we create, but it's also staying true to who we are. What is the purpose and the meaning behind the work I do? And it's also this opportunity now to really focus on wellness. You know, I think there's this big rise of mental health and mental well-being, but we have to first start with the question, in order to have wellness, mental wellness, you have to also have the wellness of the consciousness. And that consciousness is your self-awareness. How are you feeling? How is your energy levels? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I think there's an opportunity where AI will help us go back to this human aspect of what really makes us unique is purpose-driven work, connected relationship-driven work. And I think it's going to unlock even more innovation and more curiosity.
Yeah, I have been thinking a lot about how the story of work has actually been the story of technology at work, not humans at work over time, because machines have been the central character in that story, not the mind. But now we're entering this new economy where, as you say, AI is going to do more of the intellectual tasks we've done before. We know robots are going to do more of the physical tasks we've done before. So now our social abilities are coming to the center, and the human mind is going to come to the center. So human ideas is the new code, human energy is the new data center. And that's going to give us a whole new way to think about things like wellness and burnout. If you think about human energy is the sort of new data center, you're not worried about burnout for your employees just because you want to be a great place to work and retention, but because that's going to limit their ability to contribute their best self. You're not worried about belonging just because you want them to stay. You're worried about belonging because you want them to bring their individuality, because work isn't just going to become more human. It's going to be more about you as a unique individual. As that becomes more true, that's going to be a big shift for people to think about, because work has been a pretty dehumanizing experience for most people, because everyone just got slotted in, defined by a job title someone else gave them or a degree that someone else decided they could get or not. So much of definition of self has been outsourced in work to this sort of limited degree of what is potential for people. So what is the way for talent leaders to help the people that work at their companies, humans, think better about what it is to be human? And then as individuals, how do you do this sort of work in your day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, I think before we can take it out to the workforce and train, I think this ultimately becomes a question for ourselves. First and foremost is, where is my wellness? How am I thinking about it? So I'll give you an example how I think about SQ and how can I build my SQ so that I can be better for the teams, I can be a better leader, and I can build better relationships, and then, have clarity of the IQ experience I want. So I am quite intentional throughout the day to have purpose pauses. And what a purpose pause is, it's about 3 to 5 minutes a day, really being intentional about really thinking about this inner self-awareness. And I like to look at it about, the way I say is with 3 B's. The first is just breathe. Just pause and take 3 breaths and just re-energize myself. The second thing is I like to just take a scan on the body. Is there tension? Do I have any triggers? How am I feeling? Have I drank water today? Right? And then the last is the being. That goes to the SQ, the inner voice. Am I aligned with the intentions I set for the day? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Did a certain meeting leave me feeling a certain way. Why is that? And having that inner voice. So one is, I think, balancing this aspect. But I think, as we think about the future workforce and human-centric experiences, I do think the soft skills are going to be more and more critical. It doesn't mean the hard skills aren't there. We have the ability to now get to insight even faster with the hard skills and the IQ. Like some of the things that it gives us more time to focus on the EQ and the SQ. It makes us help work in a collaborative environment because our inner being and our inner self-awareness is more at peace so that we can collaborate and work.
Well, Amber, thank you so much for joining us. We should book an interview in 5 years to check how we did against our predictions. But I'm just grateful for you and all the talent leaders who are out there leading us into a new era for work that we really do believe can and should be a more human era for work.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.